basically this Aussie company, I think they're called like Fuzzy Games or something. They're probably hating that we're in the real estate industry. We're talking about them on our podcast, but it's a video game where they asked people to post in like their horror rental stories, because it's basically a big FU to landlords and like all the things like they won't fix my fridge, there's mold here, there and everywhere. So they've made this horror video game. Let me just...
Going once, going twice, sold! You're listening to The Property Pod.
All right, guys, welcome back to The Property Pod, your weekly engagement into real estate here in the Hobart Marketplace. I'm your host, Aaron Horn, back in action at the desk. Pat looks pretty excited to be back here. How are you, my man?
I'm very good. I was just thinking just before we started with the mics, you said, let's talk property, and John was like, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, let's just talk.
Maybe we just talk.
Maybe it should be just changing the name to Welcome to the Pod.
The pod? Yeah. Like,
where sometimes we talk property.
I'm okay with that. I just thought we just came in here, we said property so that we could like get out of work for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
And get straight into things. Speaking of work, the funny bit is we had a new employee this week, someone wearing their uniform hoping to get paid. Do you want to talk us through kind of the newest employee joining the team?
Yeah, my 10-year-old son got up yesterday morning, John, and he went and found his 4-on-4 T-shirt and hat, and he's like, if I wear my uniform to work today, can I get paid, Dad?
He's an influencer.
And then I was like, well, you actually have to do stuff at work. But then I thought, what do I actually do? I just wear a
Sit
T-shirt
around.
and get paid. So maybe, yeah.
He's had the best role model.
So, yeah, we're firmly in school holidays. So not only are we running a property company here, but you guys amazingly allow everybody to bring their kids to work. It's bring your kids to work every other day. So we've had a lot of extra stuff. And the funny bit was Tate was in there sitting at one of the...
He had his full 414 kit on.
full kit on, and I'm like peeking through. I was like, "Is there someone like officially new here?" Because like the hair was coming out of the beanie, and I was just like,
He's
"Hold on
taller
a
than
sec."
Georgia, who used to work for us.
Exactly.
So I can understand that.
So yeah, so there's been a plethora of people around. It's actually it's fun to see kind of just kids running in and out of the office. I always remember being a kid, never being able to go to your mum and dad's work, but always thinking like, man, I wish I was one of those kids that could just show up at the work and just like rule the roost.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
heaps of roost ruling going on.
Well, that when we had our when we were growing up in the mum and dad's, well, they still own the building in Main Road, Moona. With the 2 stories, of course, you just run up the stairs, so it would just be a matter of time while everyone would be trying to work, but all they could hear is.
Oh, I can imagine your dad loved that too, John.
But it wasn't Dad. All the staff had full rights to just chastise us if we had to. So we copped it from old staff.
I'd love to see you doing that now, running in the coffee shop, playing hide and seek, just causing mischief.
Oh, it was so sweet. When Quitty, she was playing one of the games, because when the kids have got the headphones on, they've got no concept of the noise.
Oh.
And so she's planted herself next to there, just shouting into the iPad. I was like, just had to lift up this, sweetie, would you mind just going to the kitchen? Like, okay.
Well, talking of games, that's actually a good jumping off point for one of the things I brought to today's show. Have you come across this Janet de Mornay is a slumlord and a witch?
No.
Have you seen this? No. I thought you'd be all over this, but I think I've showed you, Pat.
I have seen it.
So this is a video game that's been developed. It's kind of come out of COVID. Let me pull up my notes. But basically this Aussie company, I think they're called like Fuzzy Games or something. They're probably hating that we're in the real estate industry. We're talking about them on our podcast. But it's a video game where they asked people to post in like their horror rental stories, because it's basically a big FU to landlords and like all the things like they won't fix my fridge, there's mold here, there and everywhere. So they've made this horror video game. Let me just pull up what I've got on this.
So do you get to play... do you get to play as the landlord or as
no?
the tenant?
So the landlord is a witch. There's like a portal in under the sink or something like that. So she's actually a real witch and a landlord. It's first person. So
It's like a horror escape game.
Yeah, it's like a horror escape game basically. So. Yeah, Sydney-based Fuzzy Ghost, I was pretty close, has announced a new game called Janet de Mornay is a slumlord and a witch, and it turns the rental experience into a horror comedy game. So it's like solving puzzles like your old kind of Monkey Island style games, but a little bit different. And it was formed, during lockdowns, and so they've asked people for rental horror stories that they'll include in the game, and if you gave a a horror story, you got a free copy of the game to play. So,
Unbelievable. That's awesome.
yeah, it's
actually really awesome.
It's super weird. It looks super funny. We're not their target demographic. They probably don't want to be pumped up by us. But yeah, shout out to Fuzzy Ghost. And
Yeah, we'll pump it up.
it's an interesting one in that there obviously would be horror stories that would come from the bunch of the property management girls.
Yeah.
They're just working in a set of rules as well, and it's this really tricky thing. Like, there's so many horror stories out there at the moment of what's happening with rental conditions and kind of being able to get rentals, especially on the mainland.
The actual rentals, because there's too many people applying for them.
Yeah, so it's funny that leads from there into the next kind of horror story that has come out of the news in this week, and this is that $0 rental in Sydney.
Great segue, man. That's exactly what these games are for, eh?
So
That's level 2. That is.
Talk us through this $0 rental. Someone give us some info on.
I saw it on the news article. I think I caught it on a Reddit thread.
And I found it through TikTok,
Yeah.
so it's out there all across the country.
Circulating around.
What obviously this genius owner has thought? Well, you've got the potential, like a phenomenal opportunity, as far as I remember it being sold, for someone with tradie or handy skills to be able to lease a property for free for the first year. All you need to do is completely renovate the property, because technically it's uninhabitable at the moment at your own expense. So, I mean, what a deal. Come on.
And I love some of the Reddit comments on this. There was someone that wrote something along the lines of, so you're telling me if I do a great job, I have to pay more rent.
Yeah.
I may as well do a fucking shit job. Just keep my rent at a reasonable.
Just do it up
The
like
bare
to the bare minimum. So like you'd probably just slap up some crappy pasta and put a heater in or something. And that was what was. I mean, I don't know if in the news article went. From what I read, if I remember correctly, was that once you've renovated the house after the first year, then you then have the privilege to lease back off the landlord at $650 a week.
Yeah.
That's
So
like $30,000 a year. You know, like
I was trying to do the math of the repairs. Like, basically, we looked at our calculator.
And I'm thinking, first year with the repairs, $650 is quite cheap, because you can spend more in the first year renovating.
Yeah, exactly. You are. Well, that's the thing. So not only do you have to take time off work if you're a professional tradesperson, and then you've got to pay for the stuff out of your own pocket. So not only you're costing on your time plus the cost of materials, it costs you way more than $30,000. It's madness. What I love to think though is to get in the brain of the person who brought up this idea.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually listed by a real estate agency, I believe. So the question then lies, was it the agency that came up with this amazing idea and we've got you, Mr. Vendor, you can't fix the property. We understand. We have a great idea for you. Let's do this.
I would almost be tempted, like you got all the people that make parodies. I would be tempted to create a parody real estate company and just come up with all these ideas just to get traction out of it.
Wow.
It's just straight out of it's like a comedy skit.
I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but apparently the new Arnie Donna show, the Arnie Donna Cafe, just came out on iView. There's a full real estate episode. I'm not going to say the word that. Have you seen the Arnie Donna real estate skit that they've got on YouTube?
I haven't yet, no.
He's just giggling thinking about it.
I can't say the word on here, but
hang on a minute. No, now if I could just keep going.
yeah, I can't say the word. I won't say the word. My mum would disown me. But
I have.
yeah, they basically
actually
hi.
that was classic. It was the skit they did for it.
Hi, I'm Paul, and I'm a real estate agent, and I'm a insert word here. and that's the whole video.
It's
apparently, there's a whole 30-minute episode about real estate agents, so it'd be very interesting to sit down and watch that, and maybe we can come back and talk about that next
I
week.
fully attest to it though. Like if you go to conferences and you meet some of the most of us are all.
I'm glad you clarified that, because when you started that conversation, I'm like, what, you're owning up to this behaviour, John? Yep, I slot right into that cookie cutter mould.
Well, it's just there's just certain businesses that will just encapsulate exactly what that Auntie Donna character that they're portraying. I mean, there's obviously all comedy has an element of truth in it, but my God, like some people you meet along the way, it's just that's exactly as they do. And I'm sad to say that. But, what it is what it is.
I forgot I forgot how we got onto there.
I'm just sitting there, just crapping on in my industry.
Oh no, you were talking about creating the false agency. I'm wondering about the agency kind of. Is it, when you get a pretty forceful owner or landlord or vendor who are kind of like, these are my needs. I can't understand how an agency popped up and ad like that. Like, it would be bad press if you were then to follow through on Domain and find out that it's Agency X that like tried to pull this swindle.
Look, the way I read it, because I was reading someone had screenshot at the actual
the
post.
domain listing.
Yep. And like they made it very clear, do not inquire about this unless you understand this, and this.
Yep.
I honestly think that the agency that put it up in their own head, they thought it was a genuine offer. This is a great opportunity. This helps the vendor fix a property you can't afford to fix. This helps someone have I think they genuinely thought, what a great idea. We've helped bridge the gap between...
We're solving homelessness.
And it wasn't until it went live, like all great online ideas are, that you're like, shit, that did not work. We need to abort.
We've made a mistake. I mean, you could justify it if you said, look, all we want is your labour. But then if it was at your own expense, like that's just...
Maybe it's 3 or 4 years free rent in exchange for fixing the house up, knowing that you've got a capital home that you can then make money out of later. But a year's free rent, which isn't really free.
Oh, Jesus. It's awesome. Look, I know friends of mine have had, private relationships where the house isn't in great condition, but the person living there just pays them next to nothing.
Tinkers away.
Just when it's because then that's fine because it's a. But that one's that's probably in their head how they thought that had looked until
and that's it. We've had tenants ring up and say, "Look, can I paint the home for my own benefit? You pay the paint, I'll do the work."
Yep,
sure.
And like the house doesn't need painting, but the tenant would like to do it because they just have want it to be fresher and cleaner and whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And so they offer their time to paint it in exchange for the vendor buying the materials.
Yeah.
Which, sure. But this is just amusing.
I want to just buy a crappy property and then to someone to approach me and say, look, this is what I want to do. I want to rent it off it for free, but I'm going to fully renovate the house for you. When I'm done, I want to lease it back. What do you reckon?
I'm wondering, is there like a legitimate way that this could work out? Because like as you were saying about the tinkering around and having someone that's, a handyman that's living in your granny flat, I'm like, that kind of does make sense in a way. Obviously, this is like...
You're just thinking, how can I get my back
hell yes, I am.
flat done?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to rent it out for $0. And
for all our long-term listeners would know that Aaron's renovating a granny flat at the moment. And now he's thinking, can I rent this out for free?
Yeah.
What's my legal obligation here?
Well, if you're looking for free rent and do renovations. Well, we've got a property for sale at the moment. I had to ask Joe, our investment specialist, to say, look, is this a possibility? What's happened is we've got this house where the family own it forever, but there's significant structural movement in there, which is making it almost impossible to sell.
Yep.
Because the sunken cost of actually bringing it up to a standard where it just is not going to fall off the hill is enormous.
Yep.
So we would have sold it a dozen times over, but people walk in and just walk out and just say, look, I can't deal with it. So what so each time we chat to the families, it just gets grimmer and grimmer and grimmer as builders, plumbers, civil engineers come through this house and everyone says no. So what we have to strongly consider is we go back to the buyers and we'll say, look, if you've got interest, just bring it to us. That's fine.
Yep.
But no one's been interested, unfortunately. So every time we go back to the families, like unfortunately, they were using that sale to purchase one of those independent care living units for her. So it just keeps getting worse. So they just said, look, we need to come up. What are some alternatives here? Okay, so maybe sales on option, could it be leased? But when I was chatting with Jo about it, she said, well, I thought, is there the idea where, look, they know that there's water problems underneath. Is that okay?
Yeah.
If someone's getting into it fully aware, is that a problem? And I just could that work? And in her opinion, it's just no.
Yeah.
It's
people aren't into a swimming grotto.
No, exactly. And look, it's fine. You'd absolutely have to fix some mold that's happened on the ceiling because of it being closed off and accumulating moisture. But the thing is, if you go under the act, you have to provide a habitable space for people.
Yeah.
And so even though if you're doing it all above board, all of it correct, the reality is the act would still probably contravene that that relationship. So it's really difficult from an agency's point of view to create that.
Which seems so interesting with this like uninhabitable space. It obviously doesn't comply with the act, but for it to then like land on your realestate.coms and domains, it's
Well, I
kind
guess
of,
that's where the $0 comes in.
That's it.
If no money's
Yeah.
being exchanged, are you renting it?
Well, and I guess that
okay. Is this like where
Because they've
you
said
could
that
put
it's
it?
an inhabitable house in the ad.
Yeah.
And they've made it clear that you can't move into this home
Yep.
until you do work to it. So are you renting it if you're not actually exchanging funds?
Well, here's a
Okay, yeah.
Well, here's another interesting one where, in the event of a delayed settlement, where a person will move into the house early, they'll define that as a possession fee and not rent, and that's a very important word because if you're paying a possession fee, you're not renting from the owner.
Yep.
So it's not officially under the normal Tenancy Act. It's a possession because they're just residing in the home as early possession. So like those words really matter in terms of that relationship.
Changes everything majorly. I guess it's like the idea of paying a $1 deposit, or when you see in the movies, the lawyers are like, "Give me $1," and then it's like, "Now I represent you,"
now
sort of thing.
representing
It's
you,
like we've made a official fee for this relationship, so now you can do any crime you want. Like, go crazy with your crime.
And I suppose all these relationships are fine provided both parties feel like it's fair.
Yep.
I suppose once it moves into the point of professional management, we've got a
You ripped half $1.
Hey, if I get the other half,
Yeah, there you go.
sweet. Now,
So now I can
we
talk anything I want with
Yeah.
you guys, and you
we've
can't
got
do
you
anything
back.
to me.
Look at him just with his
At least-
Benjamins. Just
at
sitting
least
around.
see, this is why Australian money's and Canadians the same. Like they don't use paper. This is what
Just
happens.
rips in half. It's
And if you
useless.
throw it in, you leave it in your jeans, and it goes in the wash. It's still in the same condition as it was.
Well, Pat's got other money that's like, it sounds like you're laundering it, but you've got other money out in the ether at the moment, some Filipino pesos that maybe are showing up in the mail.
John, I'm going to the Philippines next week.
Oh, fair enough.
For,
Yep,
to,
some peso.
I'll go with the offshore team.
Yep.
I ordered some pesos.
Yep.
They were supposed to arrive at the post office on Monday. There, I got one.
No
Nobody
one
knows
No
where
one knows
the-
where the pesos are.
No,
It's like 4,000 pesos are just somewhere in the mail.
And the guy's like, "Yeah, we'll just cancel it. It's fine." And then Pat's like, "What happens if the pesos show up? Like, what? Like,
Then what?
Are they a legit peso?"
I rang TravelX and said, "Hey, where's my money?" And he's like, Star Trek don't know where it is. I've just spoken to them on the phone. I was like, "Oh, okay, no problem. What do we do now?" He's like, "I have no faith it's going to turn up before you leave next week. So how about we just refund it to your credit card?"
okay.
I was like, "Cool." And in my head, I'm thinking, well, what happens if it does?
You have to return the pesos.
Who knows?
Very strange conversation.
And because we've just had this dollar exchange between us, this is a fine conversation.
No,
We're
and
not
it goes
liable
all
for
the way to
anything.
whoever else is listening. That
Yep.
dollar exchange.
Yep, you're like Hamish and Andy. They give you, if you're a listener and you go up and ask for $1, they'll give you one. If they don't have $1, they'll give you a bow. So if someone comes up and asks for $1, you don't have it,
Just bow.
just pop a bow on them, and they're not liable to this conversation we've just had about TravelX and pesos and your money laundering. I've run out of real estate stuff to talk about. Have you guys got anything else? You're
Well,
off.
I mean, I won't say I'm an expert in money laundering, but
Well, the only thing I thought would be worthwhile touching on is the event that you and Aaron attended on the weekend.
oh yeah.
So obviously 414, we always try to give back to the community wherever we can. And you guys sponsored an event on Sunday, I think it was.
Well, because it's the Hindu calendar, it's their New Year's celebrations at the moment.
Okay.
So we supported an Indian festival that was happening at the Polish club. Well, it's the Polish Hole in Newtown, which I didn't even know existed. I knew the club existed. We'd been to a bunch of birthdays there, but next door they've actually got a hole. And
Oh, I thought you meant that part where we went to the parties.
yeah, nope.
Oh, different
Like,
bit.
right attached to it, there's a giant hole behind it. I didn't even know it existed.
Like behind where the,
where the bar
Video
and
City
everything.
used to
Yeah,
be.
it's all connected, so it's like a separate building. You can't. Yeah, but there's a massive hall. So if you're going up Newtown Road, and you got the club on the corner,
Yeah.
like there's the one down next to it. There's a door and entrance to it in a huge hall.
I don't want to get off track or anything, but I don't know if you guys remember we went to an 18th there one.
Are you bringing up mutton?
Yeah.
I don't know who I'm bringing up, but
Okay,
I just
yeah.
know that I had a learner's license at the time, and there was a bouncer at the door. I just handed that to him. I was 17. Yep. I was like, we've had $1 exchange. I can share this.
No,
with you. So the bouncer was right on those years. He could work that out really well.
Well, my story involves Martin Lynch being able to go and he literally walked in like a pimp outfit and just walked straight up to the bar and ordered 15 shots or something. And
No one questioned.
no one questioned it. It was just yep, this guy's clearly 30 when he was 15.
No one dresses like this with their kids.
Yeah.
He's obviously a pimp.
Yeah.
Really got off track. Back to the charity work that you were doing at the Polish Club
So-
for the Indian Festival.
So it turns out there are no pimps. They didn't require bouncers. But it was awesome. It was not what we expected, because often when you go to these events as sponsors, we thought it was going to be where they'd have multiple tents, etc., where people would be serving their dishes. No, it was like we went back to at a talent show at school, where for 4 hours we just watched all the little community put on act after act after act, and some were great, some were kids, and others were amateurs, but it was surprising how enjoyable it was.
Yeah.
And
Did they do stand up or anything like that, or was it
no, it was just dancers.
Dancers.
One of the things that was really lovely, though, I had to get up just for a couple of minutes to say thanks, because you look at the volume of inquiry now and the new migrants that come to Tasmania. Huge proportion of them are from that region.
Yep.
And
The Southeast Asia area.
yeah, absolutely. And once it finished, they really appreciated our contribution to the fact that we actually care and want to give back.
Yeah.
Really, in the end, there are so many of them are our clients now, which is awesome. There was a guy who came up to me. He'd been here for about 10, 15 years, he said. And he said, I know maybe 1% of the people in this room. He said, I had no idea our community had grown.
I was so strong. Yeah. That's awesome.
So it's so interesting, I guess, is that all those people that had been searching for their community don't even realise just how big it is. So the festival was actually really nice to bring all that together, where no one actually knew that it existed. And then after the acts had finished, they had this huge big Bain Marie spread of all these different dishes from the different regions that were represented.
Yeah, nice.
And it must have gone for about 4 hours, I guess. But it was phenomenal. It wasn't anything like Aaron and I thought we were going to have to do, where we had to be at our stand and sell the services. No, we're a part of it.
Yeah, that's actually really fun to kind of be at something like that, where you've got this expectation I'm going to show up and I'm going to be on show and do all these kind of, come and check out 4 and 4. It's no, you watch us.
I reckon they were probably just excited that you turned up.
Yeah.
I reckon in the past when they've had sponsors for those type of events, a finances exchange and that's it. No one bothers to actually come and be part of the event.
That's a good
So
point.
I reckon you got a lot of value and a lot of rapport and excitement that you and Aaron took the time out of your day on Sunday to not only sponsor and pay for the event, but also turn up and be part of it as well.
Well, I suppose for me, when it comes to sponsorships, you have to, because that actually shows you care. Otherwise, it's just
Throw money away.
Yeah. No, it was great fun. That got me thinking that I wouldn't have known that it was on unless we were approached by them originally. But it made me really excited to just go experience those festivals more often, even if it isn't related to sponsorship or anything like that.
Yeah, just get involved in the community that way. It's funny, I'm just trying to troll through it here. I joined a Tasmanian podcast community just in the last little period, and there was a guy on there that is doing a podcast with, I think it's 172 registered nationalities in Tasmania, on the census, and he wanted to find someone from every nationality and speak to them, sort of thing. So he put a call out. I'm trying to find it, but
What's he doing for episode 173?
Well, I guess the show ends. I don't know. Or he goes back to the start. I can't find it here, but yeah.
A lot of people think we should have finished about 170 episodes ago. Well, the barrel guys, if you've got ideas, send them in.
Turn it up. Just keep turning it up. That's the difference.
Well, I'm going to finish this here because that's enough of that. Thanks for joining us in for a pretty loose episode. Check out Janet De Mornay, who's a witch and a landlord. And if you want a $0 house, you can check it out. Renovate it yourself.
See you guys.
See you guys. Bye. You have been listening to The Property Pod, recorded and edited by 414 Media House in conjunction with 414 Property Code.
This podcast is general information only, and the thoughts and views expressed is the opinion of our panel, and listeners should always seek and use their own investigation into any topic we discuss to ensure they fully understand their own situation.
It does not constitute and should not be relied on as purchasing, selling, financial or investment advice or recommendations, express or implied, and it should not be used as an invitation to take up any agent or investment services. No investment decision or activity should be undertaken on the basis of this information without first seeking qualified and professional advice.